Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Radiant Central, and I'm your host, Natasha St. Michael, and thank you so much for joining me. So the other day someone posted a question about fruit, and they were asking, how would you know when the amount of fruit you're eating is adversely affecting your blood sugar? This person consumes 10 to 15 pieces of fruit a day, and they're wondering how that's affecting them, and is it negatively affecting them? Great question. I have to say eating 10 to 15 pieces of fruit a day, I would say is a little bit on the excessive side. I would say that especially over the long term. Okay, so if someone were to be eating a lot of fruit, like 10 to 15 pieces of fruit a day for, let's say, one day or a few days as a cleanse, or maybe even a week or 2 weeks where they're eating a high fruit diet as a cleanse, short term, that's fine. Okay, most people do all right, and in fact they feel pretty good afterwards, and it helps them sort of reset their taste buds and get back to eating healthy. But for someone doing that day in and day out over the long term, and I'm saying over months and years of eating 10 to 15 or more pieces of fruit a day, I would say on average, most people over time would not succeed on a diet like that, and they'd start to see that their health and certain things would start breaking down or being affected by a high blood sugar. So, and there are exceptions to this. Yes, I do know that there are people out there that do great on it. Okay, and a lot of times they might be young, or they might have a turbo fire metabolism that they can convert any bit of sugar into fuel, and their body works extremely efficiently in using everything that goes in, or they're training a lot and doing a lot of endurance sports, things like that. People like that can do really well eating a lot of fruit. Okay, but I would say the average person that is an adult, that is not very active, that's sitting down most of the day and not doing very much, they wouldn't do so well on an all-fruit diet, okay, or a diet that's high in fruit, like 10 to 15 pieces a day. Also climate-wise too, okay, a lot of times people do better eating more fruit in a hotter climate than they do in a colder climate, okay, like because you're sweating it out and you're more active in a hotter climate. So what would be those symptoms of having too much fruit and having a high blood sugar? Pretty much I would say the first thing is that if you're doubting what you're doing, a lot of times that itself is a pretty good indication that intuitively you know something might be too much. A lot of times I'm working with clients and they say, you know, am I having too much of this, or do you think it's all right for me to be having so much of that? Usually when they start questioning it and doubting it, it's because it is too much. Okay, so usually just your own instinct is guiding you. And that is something to honor and to listen to, okay? But other physical symptoms you would get from eating too much fruit or having a high blood sugar, I would say starting with your teeth and dental issues, okay? You'll probably might have issues with having cavities or gum issues or halitosis. You might notice it in your skin, having dry skin, having cracked skin, having dry hair or weak hair, or brittle hair or brittle nails, things like that. You might notice too in your joints that you might have inflammation of the joints. You might have bursitis or arthritis or aches and pains. You might be prone to injury as well. Other things that might come out having too much fruit in the diet, I would say, would also be issues with the hormones, okay? Either lack of menses, so having an irregular period or no ovulation, or having a lot of weight being held in your abdominal area, so either being bloated a lot or actually carrying most of excess weight in the stomach region. That's also an indication of too much sugar. What else? Also having fungal infections, having any kind of yeast infection, yeast rash, other types of skin irritation and fungal stuff, or warts, things like that. Plus also a weakened immune system, okay? That too, being prone to getting sick. That can also be from excess sugar, also having a weakened bladder or an irritated bladder, or having chronic bladder infections. That too can be from too much fruit, too much water in the fruit and too much sugar in there. What else? Yeah, and I'd have to say also affecting your moods, okay? Being up and down with the moods, mood swings, and also issues with energy, being high and energetic at one moment and low the next, having to sleep a lot, things like that. Pretty much you kind of know when you've had too much sugar, you know, and if you do it a lot over over the long term, things start breaking down and you just don't feel well. So when you're not feeling well, it's good to sort of look over your diet and seeing what you have too much of. And what I suggest is that if someone is eating a lot of fruit, start substituting that fruit with having more vegetables. That's the best route to go in. So if someone's doing like a raw food diet, one of those or two of those fruit meals that you're eating, have a salad and have it with salad dressing. Make sure that there's some healthy fats in there as well. Okay, and if someone is just eats a regular diet but they just eat a lot of fruit and they're feeling like it's too much, again, have more vegetables, have salads, have steamed vegetables, have just start having less of the sugar and more of sort of the nutritionally dense foods. Okay, that's a great way of sort of substituting it. And also too, if someone is having 10 to 15 pieces of fruit a day, the one thing I suggest definitely and I recommend is to be avoiding dry fruit on top of that. Okay, like, that if you're having a lot of super sweet fruit, like tropical fruits, things like that, don't also be having a lot of dried fruit on that, because the dried fruit it's easy to eat large amounts of it, and it's also just full of sugar. And also too, you can substitute some of those sweet fruits with non-sweet fruits or low glycemic fruits. So why not substitute, instead of having a mango once in a while, have a bowl of berries? Or if you want to have something that's juicy, why not have some cucumbers and tomato instead of always going towards the high glycemic stuff? Okay, so especially if you're eating a lot of fruit. And if someone were to ask me too, how much fruit should like an average person be eating a day, I think everyone should be having fruit every single day, definitely. Okay, that's a must. Whether you have high glycemic fruit like tropical fruits, or you have low glycemic fruits like berries or green apples or pears, or if you have non-sweet fruits like tomato or cucumber or anything with a seed in it that doesn't have much sugar in it, all those are great. And everyone should be having 3 to 5 portions of fruit a day. But it really depends on your activity level, it depends on your age, it depends on your metabolism, and it depends on your overall health. If you're young and you're active, then have a lot of fruit. But if you're not moving around so much and your health is kind of so-so, I would stick more with the non-sweet fruit, like the cucumber, the tomato, the avocado, stuff like that. Okay, and if you're in the middle of it, go with a little bit of both. So, doing anything to the extreme is never good. Okay, it's always good to sort of stay in the middle, have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, keep the variety going, and maintain balance. It's all about balance. All right, so I'm wishing you guys a super fabulous day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.